Minus.
Hello, hello.
Testing, testing.
Hi, how are you doing?
Hi, thanks.
Good to see you. Thank you.
Hello, hello. Hello,
All right.
hello. Okay.
All right. Sorry for the delay, everyone. 15 minutes. That's longer than it should have been, but we had some issues. We don't our STC IT folks don't do Facebook live streaming on a regular basis. That's not their typical job. And I think the last time that they did that was our event back in April of last year. So this morning, we were trying to figure out how it all worked, and we thought we had it ready to go. And apparently they give you 4 hours when you create an event, and we must have lost everything and had to create it again. So my apologies for running late. But let's get our event started. Good evening, everyone. I want to welcome all of you to Futuro RGV's Texas House District 41 Republican Primary Elections Forum. This event will be live streamed on Facebook, and the recording will be posted on the Futuro RGV Facebook page, and then in a day or two, probably, we'll get the recording and post it on YouTube as well for everyone who does not use Facebook. Futuro RGV is a nonpartisan social welfare organization. Its mission is to provide information to our community on quality of life issues and concerns with a focus on driving positive change in government, economic development, educational advancement, healthcare, public safety, and recreational opportunities. We will have programs throughout the year that address all of these subjects. If you find these forums to be an important resource, please consider becoming a Futuro RGV member for just $20 a year. And if you see these wonderful Futuro RGV koozies that our candidates and our moderator have on their water bottles, become a member and you'll get those beautiful koozies. One of them, anyway. If you'd like to sponsor Futuro RGV, please contact me about our different sponsorship levels. First, I want to thank and recognize all the elected officials in attendance, and I only received one name as of our start. So thank you, Mr. Robert Cantu, the Hidalgo County GOP chair. Thank you for coming. I also want to thank South Texas College President Dr. Ricardo Solis for attending tonight's forum. Thank you, Dr. Solis. I want to thank our sponsors for making all of our events possible, with a special thanks tonight to South Texas College for being a sponsor host by providing this beautiful venue and technical support for tonight's forum. Our sponsors' image will be posted throughout the forum tonight so that we can advertise them for helping us do what we can do. So our diamond sponsors are Clark Chevrolet, DHR Health, Rio Bank, Rhodes Enterprises, and Sam Garcia Architect. Our gold sponsors are L&F Distributors and Valley Land Title. Our silver sponsors are Frost Bank and Texas Regional Bank. IBC is a friend of Futuro RGV, and our in-kind sponsors are the Casa de Palmas Hotel by Wyndham, Copy Zone, CSL Productions, KC Advertising Specialties, and South Texas College. As president of Futuro RGV, I'm proud of the efforts of our board for organizing these events. I want to recognize our vice president could not be with us today, Kenneth Matty, our treasurer and parliamentarian, Laura McLeish, our secretary, Albert Morales, who will be keeping time tonight. Thank you, Albert. Our president-elect, Alex Garrido, who was at the registration table. I don't know if he's come in yet. And other board members, Antonio Alvarez and Davis Rankin. Thank you for all that you do. Let me explain the rules for tonight's forum briefly. The debate will be 90 minutes in length. It's really a forum, not a debate. They aren't going to be asking each other questions. The candidates' seating format, order of opening statements, and order of closing statements were determined by ballot order. The moderator will be the only person allowed to ask questions. Each candidate will have 2 minutes to make an opening statement. The moderator will ask pre-prepared questions, which were prepared by Futuro RGV Event Committee members. Full transparency, I asked members of our board to send me questions. They have no idea which questions are going to be asked. I edited some of them. I determined which questions would be asked in tonight's event versus Wednesday night's event. We don't want to give an unfair advantage to the Democratic candidates. All they'd have to do is watch tonight's event and know the questions. So they will have similar questions, but they will not be identical questions. And I am the only person who knew which questions would be asked tonight until I handed them to our moderator. Okay. The candidates were not given the questions prior to the debate. Candidates will have 1.5 minutes to answer the moderator's questions, 1 minute for rebuttals if another candidate mentions them by name, 30 seconds for follow-ups for clarification only at the discretion of the moderator. Every candidate will be given the opportunity to answer each question. The candidates will not be permitted to ask questions of each other. The moderator will switch the order in which the candidates receive the questions. The moderator will seek to enforce timing agreements and ensure a civilized discussion. Finally, each candidate will have 2 minutes for closing statements. And one that I did not write on the formal rules was that they're not allowed to be using electronic digital devices during the forum, the candidates. So the candidates for the Texas House District 41 Republican primary are in ballot order: Mr. Sergio Sanchez, Mr. Gary Groves, and Miss Sarah Sagredo Hammond. The moderator for tonight's forum is reporter and weekend news anchor from KRGV Channel 5, Sarah Silveira. So Sarah, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Murray. It's an honor to be here tonight so we can hold a conversation so we can all learn more about the candidates that are running on the Republican side for House District 41. So thank you so much for everyone being here. Just to kick it off, as Mr. Murray mentioned, we're going to start with opening statements. So each one of you all are going to have 2 minutes for an opening statement, and we're going to start by order ballot. So Mr. Sanchez, we'll go ahead and start with you.
Thank you. Good evening. Thank you, STC, for hosting us. Dr. Solis, thank you to Futuro for putting this event on. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Sergio Sanchez. I am a Republican. I'm on the primary field of House District 41. I'm honored to be in this race. There are 2 very decent people up here on stage, and I promise tonight to keep a civilized discussion. I want to talk about, we're on campus, so this is going to be my best version of being a college professor. What is the function? What is the purpose of a primary? This region that we're in, of the election, between now and March the 3rd, what is the purpose of us 3 that have signed up for this? It's clearly to get the best candidate forward for a general election come November. This area, District 41, has seen incredible change in the generations preceding. We're finally at a level that it is winnable. President Trump has won the area. The region, this is essentially a coin flip with the right person. My background is no secret. I'm very proud to announce that I've been a lot of years at the Hidalgo County District Attorney's Office. I retired from there. I've been in private practice for a lot of years. I run a business. That being said, I have deep roots in McAllen. I understand every city of the district, McAllen, Farr, Mission, Edinburgh. I bring law writing experience, constitutional interpretation experience to the table. I put forward proposals regarding business. I put forward real proposals regarding the sanctity of life that I have seen has coalesced into a huge issue. I've put forward proposals to strengthen our gun laws. These are huge matters. For sure, these are Republican platform and very important to our base. I'm asking for everybody to consider voting for me. My name is Sergio Sanchez. Also, please go to sergiofortexas.com. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sanchez. Mr. Groves.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Gary Groves, proud Republican running for HD 41. Thank you, Futuro RGV. Thank you for SDC for hosting this forum. And thank you, audience, for being part of this. I have a long involvement with the Republican Party, over 10 years with the local Hidalgo County GOP. I've also been involved with the national GOP. I'm the only candidate running for HD 41 who can say that. I'm also the only candidate running for HD 41 on the Republican side to have voted in GOP primaries. One of the candidates up here has only voted in Democrat primaries. The other has never voted at all. Let that sink in. It's important to have a good grassroots Republican like myself going to office up in Austin. Good grass Republicans have passed great Republican bills. I have a degree in economics, and I've been involved in the oil and gas industry. I understand business. I'm for eliminating property taxes. I'm a Christian who is strongly pro-life. I'm pro-Second Amendment. I like our Texas gun laws. I'm for doging Texas, getting rid of the fraud and the wasteful spending. I'm for term limits, and I've worked hard with civic organizations. I'm proudly a MAGA Republican. MAGA Republicans are all about government for the people, by the people. I'm humbly asking for your vote tonight. Please, to find out more about me, go to GaryForTexas.com. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Groves. We'll pass it on to Ms. Segurado Hammond.
Thank you so much for your time today. I'm the owner of Atlas Electrical Air Conditioning, Refrigeration, and Plumbing Services. And through that, I have been supporting skilled trades. Education is very key for me. I've been advocating for skilled trades on a national level through STAC and through Women in HVAC, and locally here serving on the STC Advisory Board for Women in Air Conditioning and South Texas VOTEC. Why? Because I believe in community and the skilled trades. I've also been an advocate serving on the RGV Partnership Board, serving through Citizens Against Lawsuit Abuse, and serving on as the chair for the RGV Hispanic Chamber. I've also served as chair for the Better Business Bureau since 2014, and I serve in Houston representing the Rio Grande Valley. I serve on a board for Leadership Women. I believe in service. I did not believe in politics until I heard a pastor say, politics makes policy. Policy affects our people. Our people are God's people. If you don't get involved in policy, you need to be involved in politics. And that's when I decided to step up for my community, because I love my community and I'm here to serve my community. I'm not here for power. There's no reason for me to have to run. But I am running. This district has never been a Republican district in over 3 decades. 30 plus years, it's been a Democratic district. We need change. We need to start looking at budgets. We need to be able to have balanced budgets, and that's all I've been doing my whole life is balancing budgets, running companies, running boards, and doing payroll. I need you to consider talking to me and getting to know me. I will have your voice because I'm here to listen with empathy. I'm here to listen to my community. I'm here to serve. I'm not here for anything else other than to be for us as a community. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Hammond. We're going to go ahead and move on to our questions section. Just a reminder, you're going to have 1 minute and 30 seconds to answer the questions. The time is being kept here in front of you. So just to get it started, we're going to have this first question going to you, Mr. Sanchez. As freshman representatives, rarely will y'all be able to get one bill passed. On what bill or topic would you all be willing to spend your most time on?
Yeah, let me start by saying I reject the assertion. And you've got the wrong person if you think I'm going to go to Austin to have the attitude that I'm not going to get anything passed. Day one, I've got bills ready to go regarding the sanctity of life. I want to set up an appellate version of review for the absolute worst thing that could happen in the state of Texas, abortion. And the mother's life is at risk is the only exception to abortion. I want to have appellate levels of review, a 5-doctor panel with a degree of medical certainty to approve, and it must be unanimous that the original diagnosis was legitimate. I've spoken to doctors in the community. This is something that could be set up. We have the capability with these doctors. I reject the assertion that I can't get anything passed. I have every bit of eagerness and strength and background and the backbone to get things passed. It's going to be for the baby.
Mr. Groves?
So I feel strongly about eliminating property taxes. It's hurting families. The governor wants to take the school tax off of our property taxes by using $11 billion of the surplus. I want to fight for him with that. That is a great start to eliminating property taxes. But we can't just eliminate them. We have to control spending. And we have to do that in all forms of government. But we need to control the spending on schools. And we need more, I think we need state supervision when it comes to spending. We need to spend more money on the education itself and less money on the frills and things that don't go into education. So I'm for definitely giving people relief from these property taxes where they've been raising our appraisals, taking away the homestead exemption that's been given to us. It's not working, so you can get rid of it by the school tax part to start, by using some of the surplus, which have been using to buy down the homesteads, which isn't working. I'm also for electing the appraisers. They need to be accountable to us. So that's very important. Elect the appraisers, but yes, property tax, getting rid of that and lowering it like the governor wants to do. That's number one. I want to work with him.
Thank you, Mr. Groves. Ms. Hammond?
I have drafted a contract with the Rio Grande Valley that you can find on my website. And in that contract, I have a 100-day plan guaranteed. I'm going to file or co-sponsor at least 5 items aligned with the contract: tax relief, border, fentanyl, parents' rights, public safety, regulatory relief, and constitutional freedoms. I will also host 2 in-district town halls and publish written action summaries, launch a public contract tracker showing votes, bills, actions, and status updates by commitment. I am all for reducing our property taxes. That's one of Abbott's biggest leads, and that's what he's running on, and we're going to be there to support it. I am all there for taking care of our public schools. My husband works for public schools, and my daughters go to public schools. I am all there to protect our border against fentanyl and all this trafficking that has been happening and has risen. I am here to take care of my community. If you go to my contract, you can see it. It is signed by me, and it is on my website. These are the rules and the laws that I will stand by, and this is what I will be voting on. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Hammond. We're going to go ahead and move on to the second question. Mr. Groves, we'll start with you. District 41 covers several cities, as you all know: McAllen, Edinburgh, Farr. So how are y'all going to make sure that you address each of the community members' needs and stay connected with future constituents?
So that's important to listen to your constituents. I'm here to serve. That means I'm here to listen to them. And so having an open door and listening to your constituents is how you do that. It's not about me telling them what's good for them. It's about them telling me what their needs are and then me fighting for them. That's what you have to do. You have to fight for your constituents. And that's what, about being a MAGA Republican. We're here to fight and serve for the people of our community, of our country. And that's what's in my heart. My heart is to serve. And so, yes, listening to the constituents. And then I also think listening to the experts. What is best for the area? What are the constituents saying? And not wasting money. That's one of the things about special interests controlling our politics. It's not always good for us. Very rarely is it. So we have to listen to our constituents, listen to the experts, but also be mindful of the cost. Don't waste our taxpayers' money. We're here for you.
Thank you, Mr. Groves. Ms. Hammond.
I walked in Edinburgh for 6 hours last weekend, just in one day, and then again throughout the week, and this weekend for 8 hours in McAllen. It was one of the funnest things that I've ever done because I like block walking, I like talking to people. I find that service and communication with people is key. Two of the biggest rising concerns out there is the healthcare, especially with the rising costs of insurance. And the second one is the immigration that is concerning. I talked to construction owners that said they are thinking of not voting Republican because of what is happening right now. So we are in a strain where this district has to flip to become a Republican seat. And in order for us to do that, we really need to sit and continue, not only to serve on boards like I do, but continue to listen to what the people are requesting and make changes and make them feel safe and secure again. And that should be the goal, to bring God into everything that we speak, because God is love. That is the definition of God. And so that is my intention, is when I speak to people, to remind myself that I am only speaking with love because I'm bringing God to the table. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Hammond. Mr. Sanchez.
So you're speaking to communication with each of the cities in the district, and that's key, or connection to each community. And I'm the only one up here that can say that I've worked or lived in each of these cities. Born in Edinburgh, the old Edinburgh Hospital right across the street from the little golf course, Ebony Golf Course. It's been torn down right there off of Freddie Gonzalez. Came back after law school, prosecuted at the district attorney's office. I worked there. The best years of my career were working there at the courthouse every day. I still go to the courthouse every day, and now I'm in private practice. Had my first law office there on the courthouse square, right off of O'Connell Street, literally right across the street from the courthouse, downtown Edinburgh. I've lived in McAllen. I've got skin in the game and paid taxes in this great city for 27 years. I've worked in FAR. I've lived in Mission, at Dad's house, attended Our Lady of Guadalupe Church, Our Lady of Guadalupe Catholic School. I'm a product of each of these cities, and it's deep, deep connections, including to the elected leadership. So to speak to it is, one, it's a connection, and two, to have an open pathway of communication to each of these mayors, school boards, city commissions. What's best for the community? Well, it sure helps that you're there. Block walking doesn't get it done. It's just have you lived the experience? And again, this gets to, yes, we do need a Republican to win in November. The question is, who is the best candidate to go forward to have the chance? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sanchez. And I ask if everyone can please hold their applause till the end. This next section of questions is going to focus on education. Ms. Hammond, we'll start with you. Do you support or oppose expanding school vouchers in Texas? And how would your stance impact public schools in District 41 specifically?
I support the vouchers that Abbott has put into effect. I support what he has done, giving our community the right to take care of our children. But again, my husband goes to public school and my daughters go to public school. One third of the districts in Texas that received the vouchers had to give the money back because they received too much income, and so they couldn't even use the funding. And that funding went back to the state's fund, instead of going into the school fund so that the districts could continue to get elevated funding from the district, from the federal government, from the state government. They ended up spending it into other things. So we have to start looking at where we're spending our funds and what we're putting into our school districts. Our school districts, the inflation and the funding that they're getting per year per student is not sufficient to take care of our school districts. So we need to reevaluate what we're providing, make sure that we're increasing the amount for the student that's going to the school to account for the inflation that's happening as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Sanchez.
Yeah, so support the vouchers. However, they must come with safeguards. And the fear is that money is going to end up in someone's hands that knows how to manipulate the system. In my opinion, this money should be for the single mother that wants a better life for her children. Moms should be in charge. They get to decide. I 100% agree with that. That's for the lady that lives on South 23rd Street. That's for the lady that lives in Las Milpas or Lopezville. I believe the law should be targeted for that lady. But the fear is that money is going to go to the well-to-do family, that they're going to send their kids to Jesuit Strake or the high-to-do schools in downtown Houston. And there must be safeguards to prevent that spillage of money that's going to get into the hands of people that know how to manipulate the system, of people that don't need this money. It should go to these ladies that deserve it. The problem is it's not being accessed well enough. If it doesn't get access, it should not fall to the rich. It should go right back to the state and be repurposed to the lady that lives on Nicholson Avenue in Mission, or to the lady that lives in a rural area on the north side of this district. That's where that money should go to. I don't think anybody would have a problem with it, not even those well-to-do people. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sanchez. Mr. Groves.
So I strongly support the school voucher program. I also support homeschooling and anything where the parents have a strong say-so over the education. You know, we have a problem with our public schools, and that's just the money's being wasted. And the kids aren't being educated. You know, they're coming out of there without basic school skills. You know, we need to focus on basic education. And I think it's wonderful that we have the school voucher system. You know, that's competition. That's what we need. You know, that's going to help a lot of families. And so I'm so grateful for that. And I love the idea of vocational schooling in high school, you know, where people can learn skills while they're in high school that will serve them after they graduate. So that's wonderful. So I would support that. And I would say that we need less supervision and we need more money spent towards educating the kids. And again, basic skills, homework, prayer to God, and saluting our flag, the basic things we were brought up as kids. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Groves. This next question will start with you, Mr. Sanchez. When it comes to public education, many school districts across the valley are having to consolidate due to a lack of funds and low enrollment. What is the solution to ensure that school districts in 41 can provide adequate education to students and keep their campus doors open?
So there's some basic things regarding over-testing and how out of control this system has become. I've spoken to superintendents across the board, not just District 41. This affects every child in the state. They're on campus. Teachers are teaching for the next test, for the next star, for the next standardized test, and it's never ending. It has become a cottage industry. It has become a cash cow, no different than the prison complex is at the federal and the state level. There are private entities that make a lot of money on that system. There are private entities that make a lot of money on this testing system. I think most of that needs to be wiped out. The state should instill basic passage rates for children, but not this over-testing. It's a waste of money. I think the money should be distributed more equally to the districts. That would solve a huge problem. A huge problem. And this is not money that is ending up in the hands of district employees or of families. This is money that is going to corporate entities that are set up to make a profit on testing our kids and over-testing, and it's gotten out of control.
Thank you. Mr. Groves.
Yeah, again, we need to focus on basic education, homework. And you know, you have to look at what happened in La Jolla and all the corruption that happened with the public school system there, and how the state came in, appointed somebody, and it's running well now. I believe we should have more state supervision. You know, that will save us money, less local supervision, and more money towards the teachers. The teachers need to get money, and the education, basic education, needs to get the money. I think it's staying with basic education. Again, I say less supervision, and also not all the frill spending. A lot of the spending, as you saw in La Jolla, was on stuff that wasn't going towards basic education. So again, money towards basic education, money towards the teachers who are going to be teaching them, homework, and giving them a great education so they can compete. And again, I love, giving them some vocational skills in high school. So that is a smart thing to do so they can find jobs later.
Thank you, Mr. Groves. Ms. Hammond.
So education, we've asked our schools to do more with less funding, and that's a real problem. In '25, Abbott passed a bill where they're going to be changing out how they're doing the testing. So we're not going to be just sending our kids to school just to test, to pass a test. We have forgotten common sense. We're not teaching common sense anymore. The career and technology pathways is vital and key to the 8th grade, 7th grade level, not just the high school. We've been advocating through the STAC National Association, going to schools all across the nation, advocating to junior high students to get them educated into the fields. We've also been advocating at South Texas VOTEC and STC, going into the high schools and advocating to those students. So we need more of that. Inflation, we need to increase the funding. The inflation costs do not allocate for what the school districts are getting, which is about $50 a student a year extra. That's not enough. We see the inflation rising. We see how it's rising here in our area, and jobs are not getting paid more. So we need to start looking at that, watching the budgets, and being really long vision leaders. Long vision, seeing the problem before it comes. Right now, we're without water, and it's been the 4th year that we have the lowest water, no water retention. Why are we barely starting to do something about it now? We need to have long vision people that come into office and that work to see problems, not just put a Band-Aid on it.
Thank you, Ms. Hammond. For this next question, Mr. Groves, you will go first. Many students in our district are first-generation college-bound. What role should the state play in expanding access to higher education, workforce training, or dual credit opportunities for RGV students?
So I would say on that, that the state plays a role in that. And again, I've sort of brought up the vocational aspect of that. Learning, giving them a chance to practice skills while they're in school. And again, good education opportunities. And, making it work for the industries that we have here. That's super important. Like we have SpaceX. We have many industries moving into the area, but the kids aren't qualified to work for them. So our schools need to really focus on giving educations to these kids who are going to college to meet the demand of industries that are coming here or want to come here. So I would say we need to focus on that. And that would be my answer to that. Just focusing and training, giving them educations and things that are going to work out for them. And I'll also say in healthcare, it's so important that we need better healthcare in our area. We need more schooling for that. So yeah, let's see more healthcare as part of the education here.
Thank you, Mr. Groves. Ms. Hammond.
Can you ask the question again, please?
Yeah, absolutely. So the question is, many students in our district are first-generation college-bound. What role should the state play in expanding access to higher education, workforce training, or dual credit opportunities for RGV students?
Thank you. We need more workforce development. With skilled trades, the average master plumber is 58 years old. That's a master. The average master electrician is about 52 to 53, and the average master HVAC technician is about 42. That's a problem. We have a shortage in jobs. We have skilled trades that need to be able to hire people. Elon Musk put out an ad for $99 for an electrician. to work for him in his company? How does small business compete with something like that? We need to be able to support our small business, and we need to be able to get our small business more involved in our community and in our workforce development, getting them involved into STC programs, South Texas VOTEC, getting into the advisory committees, and talking to our students more so that we can regulate what it is that they're learning, what is it the school is teaching, and making sure that we're not teaching ideology, but that we're teaching common sense and book smart sense. So, President Trump just enacted with the workforce development a $9,000 plus donation scholarship to anybody who is going to go into the workforce, and that's going to help build our workforce back. So actually providing these types of opportunities for our students to be able to go into them. The last thing I want to bring out is that the skilled trades is just a beautiful job, and it's a wonderful thing for our students to start doing, and we need to start putting it in 7th and 8th grade. We need to start educating them and allowing students to play with their hands more and not just feeding them just the college role. A lot of our students don't have any opportunities.
Thank you, Ms. Hammond. Mr. Sanchez.
So the cost per credit hour, just the cost alone is prohibitive to a first-generation college student. We are not the third or the fourth like other areas of the state. This is an indigent area. On average, this is an indigent area across the board. It's one of the poorest areas in the country. The cost per credit hour affects us here disproportionately. It's an inverse tax. It's an inverse tax on the community. It's an inverse tax on first-generation college students. And it has outpaced the rate of inflation. So as the cost per credit hour goes up, our salaries and what we bring into our households does not match it. So it's like a triple tax. So it's cost prohibitive. The measures have to come in, again, across cities, across school districts, and at the college level to cut down runaway costs. It's affecting everybody in society. Also, the dual credit is great. It's great. The things that you can knock out at the high school level. Yes, my sons have done this. My daughter in 8th grade is already signing up for these measures at Mac High. These are important things. Third, I would say technology, online classes. This is one way to curb costs. Online, everything is modern now. And even here on this campus, it doesn't always have to be so much brick and mortar of a multi-million-dollar building when you can be on an iPad or a laptop or an iPhone. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sanchez. Okay, Ms. Hammond, we'll start with you for this next question. We're moving on into our healthcare and public health section. So, Ms. Hammond, do you support expanding Medicaid in Texas? Why or why not? And how does that decision affect families in District 41?
Medicaid is very important. My parents are seniors, and there's a lot of seniors that need support. We need to start looking into these government spending. I know that my father will go get an appointment to go see a doctor, and it takes him 4 months to be able to get in. And then by the time he does get in for his next appointment, it's another 5 months down the road. And then he has to go retake the test because it's too long, that they needed to do something sooner than that. So it's a waste of money that is being spent paying to doctors through the Medicaid program when all it is it's like a spinning wheel. And so we need to start looking at what these doctors are putting into when they are taking care of our families, what it is that the hospitals and that the billing that is being put out there. I know there has been a lot of fraud that has to be researched. We should be starting to look at our governments, looking at where the funds are going and making sure that it's going to support the right people. So yes, I do believe that we need the support behind it, but we also need to be smart about it. We need to start looking at those budgets a little bit more and start protecting our community and the people that need the actual support and the funding from the government.
Thank you, Ms. Hammond. Mr. Sanchez.
Yeah, so it's kind of conflating some issues there. The difference between Medicare and Medicaid, this is kind of, this evening, several occasions, Ms. Hammond has gotten some huge critical issues wrong. Medicaid is a state-run issue. Medicaid is medical coverage for the children and the indigent of the state. Medicare, as she describes for her father, is a federally run program. So I'm going to focus to your question, ma'am, at the state issue. To tighten Medicaid, to control the spending of Medicaid, I would, and this is not going to be controversial, completely eliminate providing service for the illegal alien in our community. You incentivize the migration. You incentivize the illegality of them being here. You've given them free things, and where there are free things, people will go, and they're here. That is one huge way. That is one huge way to cut costs of Medicaid, is to provide free service. Well, it's not free. Someone's got to pay for it. That's the best way, in my opinion, to curb costs. The secondhand benefit of that is it's going to reduce the illegal migration. That is a huge, huge issue. That will help. This program is for children. There are other programs in the state that can, as a Band-Aid, help. The CHIPS program. I deal with this on a very regular basis at the state courthouse in family law cases where the indigent are unable to pay for medical coverage for the children. The state will impose the CHIPS program. It's a wonderful backstop for any lapse of coverage.
Thank you, Mr. Sanchez. Ms. Hammond, he did mention you by name. If you would like, I can give you a 1 minute for rebuttal.
Medicare and Medicaid go hand in hand for our seniors and for our students and for the children, right? And so looking into the government and where and how they're spending is extremely important. We do need to have better systems, so we need to start looking at where the funding is going. Thank you.
Mr. Sanchez, would you like 30 seconds to follow up or clarification?
Sure. Yeah, Medicaid is 100% a state program, and we need to bottle up the runaway spending. That's just one example. There are many other programs. These clinics that provide free medication, free service. Obviously, it's going to be a mass migration here for all of the free, and that's just the tip of the iceberg. I have every intention of going even further. This is how you cut property taxes. Everybody on this stage talks about. Everybody in the community wants lower property taxes. You have to have a concrete plan to do it, and I've got it.
Moving on, Mr. Gross.
Yes, Medicare and Medicaid are not the same programs. So, yes, I think in the last forum I brought that up. I mean, the people here illegally are hurting that part of Medicaid. So yeah, and not only should they not get it, but the money that's been spent on them should be clawed back, either from those countries or from our federal government, like the last administration who let them in. And so I think this is where being a MAGA Republican comes into play. We need to solve these problems. We need more doctors, and we need more residency doctors. So one thing that I see that could be a huge help here would be to have more state-run hospitals where they could have residents and training for doctors, and also that could help people who are on Medicaid. In other words, that would help the state with Medicaid because if you're training doctors and you've got state hospitals, that's less money that comes out, and it's also solving a huge problem in our healthcare system. So I would advocate for more state hospitals in Medicaid.
Thank you, Mr. Groves. Moving forward to the next question, Mr. Sanchez, we'll start with you. Mental health services are scarce in our region, especially for young people. What policies would you prioritize to address the mental health crisis in schools and in our communities?
Yeah, so I'm real proud to advertise that I am a former prosecutor. Going back to 1999 when I started at the district attorney's office, a young prosecutor does several things. One, he's the guy or lady that is in charge of the hot check division. You got a hot check, you square up with this office. Two, you're out in the justice of the peace courts, prosecuting Class C misdemeanors, the speeding tickets. There is a prosecutor. There's someone that works for the state. That was me. I was 25 years old. And three is you handle the lunacy cases at the state house. And this is the state hospitals that people are committed, and these are family members are having to do painful but proper decisions on having a family member committed for a 7 or a 10-day or a 2-week extension. It's a horrible problem. It's a horrible problem. I've prosecuted these cases. I've advocated for the hospitals. I understand the funding. I understand the process. I understand the court intervention. I understand this. And so it's going to take that sort of background to even have this discussion. I understand that they're scarce. But again, these are indigent matters. But going back to my overarching issue is that state money should be reserved for the Texans, for us, and must exclude the illegal immigrant community. Again, you're opening up Pandora's box if you include them. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sanchez. Mr. Groves.
So mental health is a big issue. I mean, you see it on our streets. And I think it is a society question. You know, do we want to address it or do we just want to ignore it? And how much crime comes from the fact that we ignore people with mental health issues? And so, yes, I mean, I think institutionalizing people because of mental health issues, you know, is a difficult situation. But if you look at the good of society, it has to be done. You know, it was done before, and we've gotten away from it. But, I mean, how many people are losing their lives because of people with mental health issues? And, you know, it's not good for them. It's not good for society. And so I think as a society, we have to make a decision that we're going to deal with this. You know, we can't just let them stay out in the streets and pretend it's not happening. We need to address mental health, and we do need to institutionalize some people, unfortunately, because they have serious mental problems. And so I would be for addressing it.
Thank you, Mr. Groves. Ms. Hammond.
Mental health facilities were removed for the most part here in Texas, and it's really important that we start putting funding behind putting back mental facilities. I was talking to a friend, she was talking about, she was up in Austin, and in Austin, at one of the school districts, they had to put in a litter box because the kid was being raised as a cat, and so she had to use a litter box at the school. This is unacceptable. These are mental issues that need to be addressed in order for us to protect the future of the children that are being raised in these mental damaged homes. So we do need to find funding to put them back in there. We also need to take care of our homeless. My friends were walking down the street and a homeless person just attacked them, and those are mental problems. It's not everybody who's homeless is not just a drug addict. There are mental people out there that need the support of the state and need a place to be put, and so that the rest of the community is safe. I highly support mental institutions, yes.
Thank you, Ms. Hammond. This next section, we're moving over to the economy, jobs, and the cost of living. So, Mr. Groves, we'll start with you with this question. Many families in District 41 work full-time but still struggle to afford housing, childcare, and groceries. What economic policies would you support to raise household stability in the Valley?
So again, I said I'm for eliminating property taxes. That would be huge for everybody. And the governor's made a proposition to deal with that. I'm all for that. That will put more money in people's pockets. I'm for doging Texas. You know, let's get rid of all this fraud and overspending in our government so that more money stays in our pockets. And also, you know, I have an experience in energy. This is like we have inefficient energy because of subsidies to huge companies that don't need it, but our bills are higher because of it. So this goes back to being a MAGA person and fighting against special interests and fighting and serving for the people. And so, you know, getting rid of the special interests out of our government and fighting for the people, that's so important. And it's even with healthcare. Healthcare, we're paying too much because the big insurance companies are overwhelming the system. So in so many ways, I would say Doge Texas, but more importantly, fight for the people.
Thank you, Mr. Groves. Ms. Hammond.
In my contract, I have written in there how to stop wasteful spending, voting no on budgets that grow faster than responsible limits, such as population growth plus inflation, unless there's a clearly defined emergency. I will vote yes on spending transparency, performance audits, and eliminating waste. I also state energy reliability and affordability. I will vote yes on grid reliability and dependable energy generation, and no on mandates that predictably raise electrical costs and undermine reliability without measurable benefits to Texans. I will also vote yes on regulatory relief that helps small business start, hire, and grow in the Valley, and vote no on unnecessary regulation that raises costs and kills jobs. We have to have our understanding of how we're going to vote when we get to Austin and what bills we're going to be pushing forward, and that's how I will stand. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Hammond. Mr. Sanchez.
Yeah, so not vote, I'm gonna write certain laws, and I've detailed that, and I speak to this over and over. I speak to it on the campaign trail, I speak to it at every forum that we have. I want to push the governor's plan. We all agree that things need to be lowered. Things are out of control. I agree of the direction that the governor is going in, but things must be clear. The governor does not dictate to the State House what laws need to be written. It's the other way around. We present a bill for signature to the governor. Obviously, we're going to work and we'll be in line with his direction, but there must be someone with the background that can write law. So the governor speaks to increasing property taxes, increasing appraised values, which is the foundation of property taxes, only by 3% rather than the 10% that the law currently allows, 10% per year, up to 10%. I would propose to reduce that to 1.5% and to scale that to every 5th year of appraised value. Push that back. That's going to immediately lower it. Getting rid of school taxes is going to eat up 50% of your overall tax bill. It's going to eat up 50%. It's the maintenance and operation portion of the school tax. So those are things that I would write into law on day one. Also, jobs for the area. We have a recalcitrant, non-existent state representative that is in office as we speak. The jobs are not here. What do talented people from this school, from this campus, is the good paying job here or is it somewhere else? I'll ask you. We need a cheerleader for the area to flip that mentality. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sanchez. Moving on to the next question, Ms. Hammond, we'll start with you. The effects of tariffs, the impact of artificial intelligence on jobs, and inflation have all affected the national economy. What can state legislators do to protect consumers during these economically uncertain times?
We have to understand how to run a business, how to run budgets, how to run payroll, how to take care of the people that we hire. And in the government, we need to be able to look at these budgets and carefully see where the spending is going, where they're putting their monies, and if there's places that we can cut back on. We have to take care of our community. We keep talking about the Valley being one of the largest districts. It is one of the largest districts in the state of Texas, and we're also the poorest. We continue to be the poorest. It rains and we flood. We have the most immigrants down here in our area. We have the less funding in our area. We have the lowest wages in our area, yet our property taxes continue to skyrocket. We don't match with the inflation that is coming onto our people. I'm having to pay more in payroll than I've ever had to pay, but I can't increase the cost to the community because the community can't afford to pay that. So we have to start looking and balancing the budgets like we would our own business to keep it afloat, take care of the people that we have, and run a better government. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Hammond. Mr. Sanchez.
Yeah, so balancing budgets, this is nothing new for the state. And so balancing budgets, Ms. Hammond speaks to, we need to balance the budget. It's the law of Texas. The law of Texas is you must balance the budget. They cannot break session. They cannot end the quorum of the State House unless a budget is passed. You must get to a level of 0 on the budget of what is brought in by way of tax or sales receipt and what is going to be spent out. It has to be at 0. Thankfully, we're in a surplus right now in the area of billions because of great sales and because Texas is number one. It's an economic powerhouse, not only in this nation, but of the world. So you have to, it's a basic understanding of the way we run things in Austin. The balanced budget is law. This is not something to strive for. So this comes back to a basic not understanding of how things are run in Austin. This comes back to the Medicare, Medicaid issue on a discussion of abortion, conflating issues, describing expansion in the incident of rape or incest. Basic lack of understanding is something that will not go forward in November. I can promise you, I've been called a bully for pointing out the obvious in front of me. I can promise you Sebi Haddad will do the same. Thank you.
Ms. Hammond, I do believe he mentioned you by name. Would you like a minute rebuttal, please?
I'm really glad he brought that up because that's spending surplus. Did you know that the money that they give out to the governments, they have to spend it or they won't get the same amount of the money that next year? And so they spend it on frivolous things. How is that being allowed? When a government agency is receiving funding from the state of Texas, they should do what we as business owners do, turn around and put it into a savings or turn around and give it back to the state, not spend it because then we're going to lose it and we're not going to get it. That's mistake number one. That's budgets 101, and that needs to get changed. Thank you.
30 seconds, Mr. Sanchez, if you would like clarification or follow-up.
Sure. So carrying forward a surplus the way we have right now, what do you do with this money? Clearly, it must be reserved if we're going to eliminate the school taxes. That's what it's for. That's what it would carry forward for. You would hope to expand that number even larger. So that ties in to the economic question. That's going to tie into the franchise tax and my plan to lower that for all business in the state, and my plan to raise the exemption from 2.65 million to 5 million, that companies would be exempt from paying that at all. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Groves.
Yes. This question reminds me of Ronald Reagan, who said the words we need to fear most in the English languages: we're the government and we're here to help you. You know, we need to get for the government to get out of the way and let businesses do what they do best, you know, and so less regulation, let businesses do what they do best. I've thought about AI. You know, AI could be wonderful if it makes our lives easier. But as a society and a state, we need to be careful that it's not targeted to replacing people's jobs. That's where we need to start drawing the line. If it can help us make our lives easier, do things for us, fine. But let's not do it till we have inferior robots replacing people. I'm totally against that. And going to the budgets, you know, these surpluses, that's our money. That's not the government's money. And so that should go back to us. And if anything, it should go down to paying down debt. But make no mistake, that's our money. And surpluses need to be returned to us, not given to, you know, to the government. We have 140 state agencies. So let's give it back to us. It's our money.
Thank you, Mr. Groves. We're moving on to the next section. This focuses on infrastructure, housing, and the environment. So, Mr. Sanchez, we'll start with you for this one. Flooding and aging infrastructure remain major issues in Hidalgo County. We all saw this back in March. Do you support state funding to address drainage, roads, and water systems in District 41? If so, how would you attempt to secure the necessary funds?
So this gets to, again, the surplus. The surplus, ladies and gentlemen, is not going to be there to pay for every dream project in the state. I'm cognizant of that. I've spoken to the governor about these issues. I'm aware of this. But such things as basic necessities or in the Colonia areas where we've had runaway developers developing land in areas that are in the flood zone, this is, in my opinion, criminal. That needs to be remedied. There are families that live in these areas. Obviously, the state should step in, but again, we can't, for something like that, yes, that is the quality of life. That is literally an issue, the possibility of illness and something like that on flooding. This is a quality of life for children. This is a quality of life issue for everybody in the community. A situation like that, yes, the state should step in because of the health crisis. Thank you.
Mr. Groves.
So yeah, flooding's been a problem as long as I've lived here, and yet we keep spending money on it, and this doesn't seem to solve anything. So I think first, you know, in this era, we need to go back and look at this issue. You know, what is the real problem? Why does this flooding still keep occurring? And so I would be in favor of a good study on why this area floods. Look at from an expert point of view, but being a good Republican, also managing the costs. You know, let's just not throw money at it like we've been throwing at it and there's no solution. Let's have a thorough understanding of it through experts, and then let's look at the best cost-efficient way to solve this problem. I believe it's solvable, but you have to study it. You have to be careful with the spending of our money, and that's what my solution would be.
Thank you, Mr. Groves. Ms. Hammond.
I also am a manager for a trailer park, and in that trailer park, our area is flooded because there were some new development projects that came up, and so they raised their ground a little higher. So all the water came into our trailer park, and our area flooded. The first thing my father did was common sense. He digged some ditches and drew it all the way out to the road to put it so that it goes out into the road and it doesn't go into the people's homes. Solve the flooding problem. We should be doing stuff like that, common sense activities for here locally. Dig some ditches, put the water so that it goes to the right areas, and then that we can save it so that we're not running out of water. Common sense ideas. You know, we talked about policies for colonias. I'm involved with HMM Foundation, which is a foundation that its goal is to service 150 new women every month. We're giving out scholarships to these women to educate them. We're targeting pregnant teen moms, women that have come out of jail, women that have gone through domestic abuse, and single mothers. And what we're trying to do is educate them to get them out of poverty. We have to continue to stay involved in our community so we know what our community needs. By doing these, we're giving them scholarships, mentoring them for 12 months, a full year, giving them guidance on business, how to grow business, how to be better leaders, how to get out of housing authority projects. You need to build your community from within, and I've been doing that from the start. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Hammond. Moving on to the next question, Mr. Groves, we'll start with you. Affordable housing is increasingly out of reach for many families. What role should the state legislature play in addressing housing affordability in the fast-growing district like District 41?
So again, I'm for eliminating property taxes. You know, a young family could buy a home, you know, get a good mortgage rate, and then they end up losing their home because the value of their home keeps rising through these out of control appraisals, and then being taxed with those higher appraisals, where their tax payment could become higher than their mortgage payment. So it's so important that we eliminate property taxes. First of all, I think morally it's wrong to be taxing people on their homes, you know, and it allows people to, the taxing authorities to spend it with no recourse. You have no recourse to it. So again, the affordability will come by eliminating property taxes off their home. That will help people get into homes more than anything. And competition, competition makes for more affordable things.
Thank you, Mr. Groves. Ms. Hammond.
Governor Abbott gave $5 million to our local housing authority to reduce our taxes. And what did they do? They lowered the rate that they charge us, but they increased our property valuation. Again, I'm the same thing with Mr. Groves. This is damaging to our homes and our communities, especially to our senior citizens who lived on a fixed income. We have to stop the bleeding. We have to get hold of the property appraisals. We have to get hold of the property valuations and help our constituents to bring back those appraisals down so that people can afford it. I was talking to a young block walker who was with me, and she said, I can't afford to buy a home. I can't afford to pay for a mortgage, and the insurance and the taxes is even higher than the mortgage that I applied for. She said, I want to get a home. Do what you need to do when you get into the state of Texas to help people like me, young people like me, get into a home. And we need to start looking at where we're spending the money. I'm going to go back again to budgets. They're extremely important. Ours are overinflated and being spent uselessly and mindlessly, and we need to start getting better control of that. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sanchez.
Thank you. If I could just add one last point on that last question regarding the flooding. Where we are in the world is unique. We're in a flood plain because of the river. Obviously, it's just a few miles south of us. So this creates not only a local issue or a statewide issue, but a federal issue. and the Army Corps of Engineers, they've done their studies. So this is beyond Texas. So I don't want to give the impression that I'm just going to be asking for this pile of cash from the state to fix our flooding problems. It's a larger issue that the federal government should be involved in as well. That's negotiating, that's getting into these bills, and you need somebody to advocate for that sort of thing. I know the governor has done that very well in this last big, beautiful bill. I just wanted to finish up on that point. Regarding this issue of home affordability, it's terrible. It's out of control. This comes back to, I would call him the epitome, the face of the problem in the state of Texas. His name is Sebi Haddad. He is a perfect example of runaway spending. He is the perfect example throughout the state. Attorney General Paxton has subpoenaed the records of the city of McAllen to scrutinize, to audit, to go through, with the potential of criminal liability of the out-of-control spending, not just McAllen, throughout every city of the state. But this is ground zero for it, and you need somebody that's going to be able to take that fight to him. He's a very well-funded, has oligarchs behind him. You need the right person to do it. Thank you.
Moving on to the next question, Ms. Hammond, this one will be for you. How do you balance economic development with environmental protection in the Rio Grande Valley, particularly regarding water resources and land use?
Water is a major issue. Our Congresswoman, and it's a federal issue, our Congresswoman went to fight to get us water. And she did a really good job, and they're changing out a new bill that she's putting into effect as well in regards to that water issue. Locally, the only thing that we can do is support Abbott and making sure that we're conserving water and that we're building desanitization locations, and that these new AI data centers that are coming in, that they don't get use of our resourceful water or the electricity, that we're protecting our own power grid. So we have to make sure that when we're accepting businesses and industries to come in, that we're also protecting the needs of our community, which is the water and the electrical power grid. Thank you.
Mr. Sanchez.
Yeah, so regarding Congresswoman De La Cruz, she didn't get water. It was President Trump, let's be clear. There are a lot of things that I agree with that red cap, and his tariff policy is one of them. That's at the top of my list. A firm stance on a 1944 water treaty that Mexico has slapped the United States, specifically South Texas. They have slapped us in the face for generations. We're losing many, many acre feet of water, affecting our farmers and affecting us locally. That water, it comes through our pipes in every one of our houses. And so I'm thankful to President Trump for doing that. It was a tariff policy that he imposed on the president of Mexico and the country of Mexico, and they folded immediately because that's going to cripple their economy. You need a firm stance like that. Also to point out, this credit of water, it rests solely on the shoulders of President Trump. You need somebody that's going to speak truth to these matters, and I'm happy to do that going forward. But regarding what you mentioned, ma'am, my biology background, I'm proud that I've studied environmental impacts. I'm proud that I've studied the damage that can be done to water supplies and to our land. There must be a balance with that without getting or interfering with our economy. Because the builders that I talk to and everybody in the community wants red tape and they want bureaucracy out of the way. So that's something that pendulum can swing too far. I would be there to make sure that business runs smoothly. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Groves.
Yes, the water issue is a very important issue. I do agree that getting the water from Mexico is a great solution for us, and I believe the Secretary of Agriculture just, doubly secured that water. We have to be careful because I know that they've been talking about doing desalination, and that's very expensive. I think that the city is spending like $21 million to do that per well. Alamo Water District is doing it for like around $11 million. That's a huge cost difference. The most economical way for us is going to be with water from the river. And if Mexico does honor its obligations, that's going to be wonderful for us. And so that's, we need to enforce that. And we need to make sure that we're not getting hosed on this, because the city of McAllen generates a lot of money from our water supply, the water we get. And that really is affecting people. Our water bills have gone up by 30%. And, you know, that's hurting people. Again, we go into affordability. When your water bill goes up 30%, that's terrible.
Thank you, Mr. Groves. We're moving on to our next section of questions. This one is focusing on border immigration and public safety. Mr. Sanchez, we'll start with you for this one. Do you believe that Texas state funds should be used for border operations like Operation Lone Star? Why or why not? And how does that spending affect District 41 priorities?
Yes, I do. And we all knew we had a wall of people. It was called the Department of Public Safety. We saw those cars down here for those years. They've dialed that back, but thank God that happened. That was in response to the complete lack of effort from the Biden administration. Kamala Harris, as the borders are, was a complete disaster. It's safe to say that. I think we all agree of how much of a disaster that was. It's been shut down. Thankfully, with President Trump coming in, has helped on the border and nearly eliminated crossings. But it took Governor Abbott in these years, my cousin with DPS included. We had a wall of humans that were here, every median between here and Rio Grande City, between here as I would drive to Laredo for federal court, between here and Brownsville. We saw them. We saw them. So I was thankful for that. More importantly, the governor spoke recently that money that he got that back. We got that money back. We spent $12 billion with a B, $12 billion on the border surge. And Governor Abbott is a very savvy negotiator. That was a reimbursement that we received from the big, beautiful bill that just recently passed. A bill that had so much to do with economic development and so much to do with international matters. Within that bill was our reimbursement for what we had to do because of President Biden's disaster. Yes, I would support that. I'm happy to announce that the men and women of the Hidalgo County Sheriff's Department have endorsed me. The union, law enforcement is in my background. Thank you.
Mr. Groves.
Yes, so I'm a strong believer in strong borders. And I would just like to take a moment to thank ICE. You know, our leaders need to support law enforcement. ICE is doing their job. We need to stand behind them. And leaders need to tell people, don't disrespect our law enforcement. Respect them, and don't resist arrest. If you attack them, you could get killed, and you put that shame on them as well. So I just want to take a moment to say we need to support our Border Patrol and our ICE. And yes, I mean, there was a time when Texas had to do it because under the Biden administration, the borders were wide open. But that was a federal, respecting our borders as a federal matter. And I'm glad that Texas is suing to get the money back that we had to spend on Lone Star, because that was a federal responsibility. And now that we're not doing that, it will save our state money. But it was needed at the time. But I'm for strong borders. So many of the problems we have are because of illegal immigration into this country. I'm a strong believer in intelligent, legal immigration.
Thank you, Ms. Hammond.
So in my contract with the Rio Grande Valley, I talk about my conservative commitment to secure the border, stop fentanyl, and drug trafficking. I state what I will do. I will vote yes on border security measures aimed at cartels, trafficking, and fentanyl, and on coordination that supports local law enforcement. Those bills will be voted yes by me. I will vote no on policies that weaken enforcement or create incentives for illegal crossings. For backing the badge, I will vote yes on resources and legal protections for our law enforcement within the law and department policing. I will vote yes on tougher consequences for repeat violent offenders, and no on policies that undermine policing or reducing accountability for serious crimes. Governor Abbott just did some bail reform in 2025 that is being put into law. In Austin, a friend of mine was shot, his brother was shot and killed. And it was recorded on video. They knew who shot and killed the guy. He's still out. It's been a year and a half, and he's still roaming the streets waiting to have his day in court. That kind of stuff has to stop. If we want to secure the border and back our police, we need to start putting the criminals behind bars and get rid of these repeat offenders. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Hammond. For this next question, we'll start with Mr. Groves. How would you work with federal, state, and local agencies to ensure that border communities are supported rather than politicized?
So that's a good question. You know, we have to promote our area for what it is. You know, this is a great area. We have ports. We have a workforce, a lot that I would say people that like to work. And we do have a poverty problem and an educational problem because of the illegal immigration we've had in the past. So again, I think focusing on education to find jobs for the skills that are needed. I would say increasing healthcare. These are things where the government agencies or the state, the local, and the federal can come together with programs like that, like promoting our area. And I would say the area needs to promote itself as one area. Don't have city versus city. Do it together, promoting this whole area. And that's my answer.
Ms. Hammond.
We need to educate the people about what we have down here in the valley, that we are a beautiful community. I serve on the board for Leadership Women, and what we do is we go to 3 different cities all across the state of Texas, and we educate the people, the women that are joining this program, to learn about the city, learn about its growth, learn about development. And by doing this, we learn about the state of Texas and all the different programs that they have, the nonprofits that they have, and the issues that Texas is addressing. It's a 43-year-old organization. They had not been back to the Valley since 2008, and they had only been to Brownsville in 2008. And when I asked them, why are you not coming down to the Rio Grande Valley? And they said, oh, we're not really sure what's going down there. So my mission and goal was to bring that leadership group down to the Valley. And we succeeded in doing that in September of 2025, taking them to the McAllen IMAS, taking them to the Stained Glass Museum, taking them to Harlingen about the water development and all the things that are happening in Harlingen, and taking them to the port in Brownsville. Over half of the women, you're talking about 85 women in the room, more than half of the women had never been to the Valley and had said that their husbands didn't even want them to come down to the Valley because they were so afraid of what was happening in our region. We have to educate and go through programs, associate ourselves through them, and then bring them down to the Valley to show how wonderful and how great we are and all the development that we have going on. And stop talking about us needing to secure the border because the borders are secure already, and now all we have to do is bring the people down to enjoy the community of the Rio Grande Valley. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Hammond. Mr. Sanchez.
Please repeat.
Yes, absolutely. So the question is, how would you work with federal, state, and local agencies to ensure that border communities are supported rather than politicized?
I mean, this is my career, and it's shocking to hear someone say that the border is already secure. This is a never-ending process. That's like saying that we have solved the drug crisis. This is a never-ending crisis. There are things that get better, but we must be vigilant. You need somebody that understands federal. This is DEA. This is the Border Patrol. The wives of the Border Patrol were at an event of mine just recently, a group of wives. They have endorsed me, and this is something I take so much pride in. So that at the state level, the Hidalgo County Sheriff's Department, at the local level, the city police officers that are here, as well as the Sheriff's Department. It's such a mix. I deal with this at the federal court. This is the black building. I'm there on a very regular basis. Every week I'm there. At the state courthouse, it's an ongoing, monstrous battle that we deal with here on the border. And if I could go back to address the previous question, what can the state do to deal with federal immigration problems? One is our presence. Police presence is huge. I commented to Dr. Solis. I thanked the men and women of law enforcement here this evening to provide this security for us. I recognize the strength that they exhibited for us, and I'm cognizant of these things. So just vigilance of that and their presence, and obviously funding that we have the best equipment for the best of our community. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sanchez. We're moving on to our next section of questions. This next one is focusing on representation and accountability. So, Ms. Hammond, we'll start with you for this one. What is one issue where you're willing to break with your party if it's in the best interest of District 41 residents?
Again, in the contract, I talk about what I will vote for yes on and what I will vote no on. I will not be breaking with the party when it comes to conservative values, bringing God into our place, and doing what is right for our community. The only thing that I will support is it for the benefit of the community and hearing the people in our community, what is good for them. We know we need some immigration abilities. The Braceros Act, I think was what they called it the other day, that what was put into place before, how you would be able to hire people legally, put them into your workforce. That is something that is extremely necessary right now. Our community is bleeding. That's one thing that I will definitely support is immigration reform so that we can get our workforce back strong and help our community and our leaders, and especially those in the construction business. Thank you.
Mr. Sanchez.
Yeah, so it's shocking to hear. And I'm going to have to bring up previous statements of Ms. Hammond regarding that she will not break from party with over conservative principles, the platform of the party, the ethos of the Republicans at the State House and here locally, that she will not break with those conservative principles. She has proposed to expand abortion in the state of Texas. This is a Democrat issue. This is not a conservative or not a Christian issue. She has proposed to limit guns to two guns for most people. 2 guns for most people. She has proposed to raise the age limit to 25. She has proposed to take away AR-15s. That means guns would be taken away from me with those propositions. That means guns would be taken away from my sons. That means that guns would be taken away from my cousins. We fail all of these, what she is imposing. So it's shocking to hear that. How would I break with my party? I go even further on this issue of life. The party at the State House has adopted, obviously, the ban of abortion, with the exception of that the mother's life is at risk. I have come forward and stated I'm an abolitionist. I would vote, I would propose legislation to completely abolish, and I've given my word that I would fight to the gates of hell for the unborn child. That's how I would break. Thank you.
Ms. Hammond, you were referenced. I'll give you a minute for rebuttal.
Thank you. First of all, I'm not here for courtroom theatrics. What I said in that video was the same thing President Trump said, that in my viewpoint for abortion, it is for a woman's health and cases of rape and incest. I didn't say I was going to propose a new bill. I just gave my opinion in a video. Second thing I said also in that video was that I'm a gun owner and that we support guns, that we are pro-gun, and we were talking about shooting at a school. So listen to the full clip. Don't take sound bites as theatrics in a courtroom to sway your vote. Thank you.
Follow up, Mr. Sanchez, 30 seconds.
Yeah, Kamala Harris said the same thing. I'm a gun owner, but she wants to take your guns. This is the way the discussion usually starts. Or with the well-intended discussion of, I want to prevent the mass shooting, or I want to prevent the next school shooting, only to limit us, legal gun owners, law-abiding citizens, only to limit our Second Amendment rights. So I'm happy to have the full link there, unedited, there in its full glory for everybody to see. It's completely opposite. I can't imagine any Republican that would take on these positions.
Mr. Groves, we're going to go ahead and move on.
So I think I've made it clear tonight, I'm the only Republican who's voted in Republican primaries. I've had a long history with the Republican Party. I will not break with my party. I want to make that very clear. If anything, I will work with my party for more conservative values. I'm a Republican through and through. There's no issue here I'm going to break with my party. I will always encourage my party to be more Republican because Republicans have the best values for government in this country. And being a MAGA Republican who loves our country, who loves the people, and who wants to fight for the people, I will try and make things more Republican when I can. I will never break from my party.
Thank you. Moving on to this next question is a pretty long one. Mr. Sanchez, we'll start with you. So in a representative democracy, the most basic element is that people get to vote for their elected officials. In Texas and many other states, however, citizens do not have much control of the agenda. We do have referendums for proposed state constitutional amendments, but we do not have initiative petitions, recall elections, or referendums to remove a piece of legislation. Do you support or oppose more citizen control of the agenda?
Yeah, so taxpayer protectionism is a term that I've adopted. I speak to this. Similar to consumer protectionism at the national level, taxpayer protectionism is a complete reworking of how the state business is run. You check off a number of important matters there. Referendums need to go across to the individual communities of each school district, of each city, of each county. It should pass along the authority, an auditing process to the people. And obviously, I give an example of, at the school level, that we're going to raise $100 million, for example, to build a new football stadium for the city of McAllen. And that it's going to, and that should go to, that vote should go to the people. That should go to the people. I think that's an obvious example. I would propose to lower that threshold to $5 million. Any large ticket item over $5 million must be approved by the people. Thumbs up or thumbs down, it gives the authority back. It's a complete reworking, and imagine how things would be tightened automatically. Imagine the Sevi Haddads of the world, how they would rethink if they're facing a recall election, or if they're facing, you need permission from the community to pass that budget. They will automatically tighten the belt. So absolutely push across referendums, more and more, vote for the people. Thank you.
Mr. Groves.
Yes, I think I made it clear. I'm a MAGA Republican. I'm here to serve the people. Having more referendums, having the people involved in the process, I'm all for it. And so I will fight strongly for that. I'm here to represent the people. Give them more voice in their government. And again, we went back to where we talked about it earlier. I'll be an open door to my constituents. I want to represent them. I want to fight for them. And referendums are a good way of our constituents having a say-so. It should not be government from the top down, special interests dominating things. That's what leads to corruption. Government for the people, by the people. That's what works best for our country. Those are the principles our country we're founded on. So referendums go into that. I'm all for it.
Thank you, Ms. Hammond.
So in my contract, again, I address election integrity, and I say I will vote yes on common sense election security, accurate rolls, voter ID, chain of custody, safeguards, and transparency. And I will oppose changes that reduce confidence in fair elections. We need to be able to take care of the community. There's so many propositions that get placed before the community, and nobody votes. The first thing we have to do is inspire the people to get out there to vote and make money awareness from the state for these propositions that are being placed into the different cities, because these propositions affect you. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Hammond. Moving forward, Mr. Groves, you'll start with this one. There are limited options for public transportation in District 41. Do you believe there should be additional options? If so, what would you propose to help?
So, I think, you have to be careful with public spending on transportation. It should be dependent on how it's used. One of the things I love seeing right now is what Elon Musk is doing, and this is like, where private sector comes in with the self-driving autonomous cars. And I heard the other day at a sort of meeting, older people were concerned about not being able to drive. And this is where technology will come into play. So that would actually be a more intelligent way of public education, of transportation, because it meets a need. And I've seen where Elon has these little buses. So yeah, I think this is where technology is coming into play. and it can be very intelligent. And so I'm for using technology, reducing the cost by doing that. And so very intelligent public transportation using the technology that is coming.
Thank you, Ms. Hammond.
I think that the cities are already looking into increasing our public transportation for buses so that we can go from one county to another or from here all the way to the island. They're looking at seeing what it is that they can do to have better support for the community and get people from one county, from Willacy or from Starr County, all the way to Hidalgo or Cameron County. And we need to start working with our cities and the people that are in place so that we can support that and bring better transportation, because we have a major need for better transportation. They're doing that silver bullet in the state of Texas, and they're not coming down to the valley. How is that okay? Why are we not advocating and putting people in place to bring those things down for our communities? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sanchez.
Thank you. So you must analyze the city centers. This area is different than downtown Houston. I get to court in downtown Houston. They have a light rail system there, up and down, north and south on Main Street, east and west on Franklin. I'm familiar with it there. That works for the downtown setting of Houston. That works. It doesn't exist here, and it shouldn't, in my opinion, because we're not set up that way. We are a driving community. Buses, vans, these things work. But I get to court in downtown Austin, and when I'm there, the Ubers, if you stay in the downtown area, are driverless cars, autonomous cars. As long as you stay in that area, obviously you're not going to get on the highway and get to the airport. It's a more traditional type of service. But to expand that, to study that, if you're going to stay in a certain region of the city with Uber, it makes sense to adopt and really just what's working in other communities and what would not work here. Clearly, subway system that we're going to dig tunnels is not going to work. Let's just be blunt. We're not New York City, and they were doing that 100 years ago. And we're not set up that way. That is clearly an urban area. We are a driving community. As you walk to the parking lot tonight, you will realize what I'm saying. Thank you.
Thank you. Moving on, I think this will be probably our last question before we get to closing statements. I'm looking at the time right now. So Ms. Hammond, this will be the last question. If state revenues decrease, would you vote to cut funding or raise taxes? If you choose to cut funding, which programs or projects would be affected?
Well, the first thing we're not going to do is raise taxes. So we would definitely have to look at cutting funding, and we already are looking at cutting funding, and we're looking at the programs, and I've talked about funding and budgets from the start of my conversations. The budgets need to be reviewed to every single government agency. We need to look at where the surpluses are being misspent and put that money back into the government. There's a lot of programs out there that are giving free money or free employment money to people. If they work, they can only work 20 hours. I get people come into my office that say, can you sign this sheet? I want to continue to get my unemployment. I'm like, you haven't even asked for a job. And they're like, well, I can only work 20 hours or they're going to cut all my benefits. People that can work should be able to be working, and we need to be providing and supporting those types of policies and looking at those budgets a lot better. And that's how we're going to be able to stop the bleed in the government. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sanchez.
So respectfully, ma'am, I reject the premise of your question to give only two alternatives, that something must increase if something decreases. Well, funding and taxes, I understand the question, but there's one other component that you're not addressing, and that is you can raise more funding by lowering taxes. It generates an economic engine in the state. I'll give the example of the franchise tax. In 2024, there was a limit. The ceiling was $2.4 million. Any business that makes less than $2.4 million was exempt from paying the franchise tax. That tax is merely a tax for the permission of doing business in the great state of Texas. The next year, they increased that number to 2.65, so it included more businesses. Any business that makes less than 2.65 million didn't have to pay it at all. So what happened? Let's analyze the amount that was brought in. $7 billion was brought in the year 2024 when it was lower, and they increased the exemption, meaning more businesses paid zero. They increased it, The number doubled from 7 billion to what it is currently at 15 billion. So you can lower taxes and raise the pot. That is the point of what I'm getting at. So respectfully, I reject it that you must cut costs or that you must raise taxes, lower taxes, and get out of the way of business. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Groves.
Yeah, so I'm in favor of smaller government. I'm a true Republican. And, you know, we do have a large surplus. And you know, I'm for doging Texas, eliminating wasteful spending, and we have a surplus, you know. Thank you, God, for that. This state has a huge surplus. We have a rainy day fund, which I'm in favor of, to keep spending on a rainy day fund. And that is the answer, is if you have to do something, I'm for cutting costs. I will always be for cutting costs, less government. I'm a strong Republican, and so, yes. But the way things are, if we manage our resources, our money intelligently, that should never be an option in this state. We have such a big surplus. And again, that is our money. That's not the government's money, it's our money, and it can go into a rainy day fund. I'm all for that, so that the scenario you're talking about doesn't ever happen. We can prevent it if we put some of that extra money aside for a rainy day, and that would be my solution to it. Let's use some of this surplus for a rainy day. Let's not just keep spending it.
Thank you, Mr. Groves. I'm going to go ahead and move on now to closing statements. A reminder for closing statements, you all each have 2 minutes to respond, and we're going to go by order of ballot. So, Mr. Sanchez, you can go ahead and start.
Thank you. So the big issues that are facing this area, obviously property taxes. I have plans, concrete plans, not things that I'll vote for, but things that I will write into law, and I expect that they will be well received to the governor's desk and signed. That's one. Lowering taxes for small business is something that I'll be a champion for. Selfishly, I would say, I'll give myself as an example. If I had to pay 0 on the franchise tax, I'm not going to get a private jet. I don't make that kind of money. I'm not going to get a huge ranch. I don't make that kind of money. But what I would do is hire another lawyer, and I would hire 2 more support staff. And then those people would end up getting mortgages. And this is how you build a community. And you do this in every city, for every small business throughout the state. And we all rise. This is a good thing. In addition, more money would be brought in. I give the example of lowering the franchise tax for those businesses. We doubled this surplus. I've studied the issue, and I know how it doubled. We're all talking about this surplus. You must know the background of how you get there. So I also want to speak to some really great news that we received this past week regarding the Second Amendment, that I'll be a champion for our gun rights. I received the highest possible rating from the NRA Fund, the National Rifle Association, Victory Fund, the highest possible ranking that you could get, an AQ rating. Nobody else in the field on either side, Republican or Democrat, even generated a grade. So I'm very proud of my background. It dovetails with my background in law enforcement as a prosecutor. It dovetails with that I'm receiving the support of federal, state, and local agencies jumping on board with this campaign. This is an organic campaign. I am funding myself in this campaign. Ms. Hammond has received $100,000 from an out-of-area lobbying firm. I haven't, and I won't. I'm funding myself, and something I'm very proud of. I'm getting $20 donations. That's a real person. That's a mother. That's a vote, and that's a family. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Groves.
Again, I would like to thank Futuro RGV and STC for hosting this forum. And I'd like to thank you, the audience, for your participation. Again, I've had a long history with the Hidalgo County GOP, the national GOP, and the Republican Party. I'm the only candidate up here who can say that. And so, like I've said, it's important you send a strong grassroots Republican to Austin, because that's what we need up there to get strong Republican legislation passed. I'm the only one who's voted in GOP primaries as well, proving that I'm a strong Republican. I have a degree in economics, and I've been in the oil and gas business. I'm retired now. So I understand the energy part. That's going to be a big thing in our future. I understand it completely, and I'll be a champion for you in that. I'm a Christian who was pro-life, strongly pro-life. I'm pro-Second Amendment, very strongly so. I love our Texas gun laws. I'm for doging Texas. This is so important. Money's getting wasted. We all know it. You know, we've got to doge Texas. I'm for term limits. I'm here to serve. I'm not here for myself. I'm proudly a MAGA Republican who believes in government for the people, by the people. We love our country. We love you. I want to serve you. And to find out more about me, go to Gary Groves, GaryForTexas.com. GaryForTexas.com. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Hammond.
I come from the kitchen table. I come from job sites. I come from balancing budgets. I come from board leadership. They said earlier that I mentioned that I hadn't voted before, and I said, when I got a phone call, my father was in front of me, and he heard the phone call where they were asking me to run. And I said, no, I'm not gonna do this. And I hung up, and my dad looked at me, and he said, why aren't you running? And I said, because you raised us not to get involved in politics. You said politics divides our community. Why in the world would I step up to run? I'm here to serve my community. I'm not here to be a politician. And that's when he looked at me and he said, I've seen what you've given. I've seen your heart. I've seen how hard you've worked to raise and uplift your community. And the world is already divided and God is being taken out. You run, mijita. You run and you bring God back in. And you do what is right for your community. And that's when I stepped up. And when I did that, I went in front of one of the largest Republican PACs in the state of Texas. And they said to me, they brought me into this room and they said, we're gonna introduce you just to see what they think of you. When they walked in, they knew me by name. I walked up to them and I hugged them. Why? Because I have been advocating for over 9 years at the Capitol, the Republican bills that help our community, that talk about insurance costs, that talk about medical, that talk about our veterans, that talk about property valuations. I've been doing this for over 9 years in my community for us. And they decided, when they saw me, they said, whatever she is selling, we are buying because we know who she is. And they decided to put the money behind me. And not just because they're trying to win and influence my vote, but because I've been there for my community, pushing and advocating for the right bills that support and strengthen us as one. I will bring what I have always brought to the table: faith, leadership. Fear makes for loud campaigns. Truth makes lasting leadership. My contract is on my website. Get to know me. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Hammond.
Okay, once again, I want to thank our sponsors. I also want to thank the candidates for providing an informative debate. Finally, I want to thank our audience. Informed voting is essential to a thriving democracy. Don't forget, early voting takes place from Tuesday, February 17th through Friday, February 27th, and Election Day is Tuesday, March 3rd. Make your voices heard by voting. Thank you, and good night.